Previously, as Jinwoo met Adam White on the plane, Adam informed him about his father. Jinwoo struggled to process the revelation. His father, missing for 10 years, had somehow returned as a monster. The thought deeply unsettled him. A few days later, the official list of guilds invited to the International Hunter Conference was released. Among them was the newly formed Ajin Guild, surprising many across Korea. Not long after, a press event was held to address the news. Reporters turned to Choi Jong-in, master of the Hunters Guild, for his thoughts. Choi explained that the American Hunter Bureau had made the obvious choice. Having fought alongside Jyn Wu during several life-threatening incidents, including the Jeju Island raid, he had seen the Hunter's abilities firsthand. In his view, the Ajin Guild's strength could rival any guild in the world, and none would surpass it. When questioned about his own disappointment, since the Hunters Guild had always represented Korea at the conference until now, Choi admitted that, naturally, it was unfortunate he would not be traveling to the United States this time. However, he felt pride rather than resentment. He pointed out that in moments of despair, when facing overwhelming monsters, there was now one hunter in Korea he could trust without hesitation, Jyn Wu. Choi even reminded the press that both he and his guild members had once been saved by Jyn Wu. To him, it was an honor that Jyn Wu had been chosen to stand as Korea's representative. After concluding the interview, Choi left the building and headed toward his car. On the way, a guild member stopped him with an update. They had successfully reserved a gate that had appeared earlier that morning in Suseodong. It was classified as an A-rank gate, though the energy readings did not seem particularly threatening. Curious, Choi asked whether the Ajin Guild had also requested this raid. His subordinate shook his head, explaining that the Ajin Guild had been unusually quiet lately. At the Korean Hunters Association, Woo Jin-chul delivered a report to Chairman Go Gun-hee. China had submitted a request for information on Jyn Wu. The chairman asked if they were seeking personal records, but Wu clarified that the request was limited to public data, raid logs, records, and news articles. Chairman Go found the timing unusual. Jyn Wu had already rejected offers to be scouted by foreign powers, so why the sudden interest from China? Wu explained that the request had not come from the Chinese government itself, but from Liu Zhigang, the strongest hunter in the nation. Go considered this carefully. China didn't adhere to the international ranking system. While 5-star hunters were usually the highest classification, Liu Zhigang was treated as an exception, a 7-star hunter in practice. Wu elaborated that Liu had once fought off a giant that crossed into China, and now, after Jyn Wu had single-handedly eradicated the giants in the recent crisis, Liu wanted to know more about him. Chairman Go's decision was firm. The request would be denied. If necessary, only superficial details would be released. Meanwhile, in the United States, Laura informed Thomas Andre that Jyn Wu would arrive the following day. At that moment, Hwang Dong-soo entered the room. Before Hwang could say much, Thomas cut him off, declaring he had something urgent to say. Without hesitation, he laid down the rule. Under no circumstances was Hwang to touch Jyn Wu once he arrived. Hwang tried to protest, but Thomas's overwhelming mana crushed his voice. He reminded Hwang that he had not been given permission to speak and ordered him to listen. Laura watched silently, noting how absolute Thomas's presence felt. Few hunters could issue such a warning to Hwang and make it stick. Even so, Hwang's obsession with his prey nearly matched Thomas's authority. To end the matter, Thomas repeated the order. Jyn Wu was not to be touched. He then instructed Hwang to take a vacation at the guild resort for the duration of the conference. As Hwang left, Laura asked if it was wise to let him go. Thomas admitted he doubted Hwang had given up. He ordered her to keep a close eye on him until Jyn Wu returned home. When Laura questioned whether Hwang would listen, Thomas replied without hesitation he would choose being uncomfortable over being dead. Fast forward to the United States, where the world's strongest guilds had gathered for the International Guild Conference. Among the arriving guests were Leonard Nierman, representative of Germany's Richter Guild, and his guild's vice master. As they walked toward the building, reporters swarmed the entrance, their cameras flashing. Leonard wondered aloud why the press turnout was so unusually large this year. His vice master explained that the Korean hunter everyone had been talking about was expected to arrive today, and most of the reporters were waiting for him. Looking across the way, they spotted Jyn Wu, accompanied by Jinho and Chief Wu Jinchul. Leonard considered approaching. There would be no harm in introducing himself to a hunter of such renown, but as he drew closer, Leonard's expression suddenly stiffened. His vice master asked if something was wrong, but Leonard could barely believe what he was seeing. To his eyes, Jyn Wu was not a hunter who summoned creatures from another dimension. Instead, his army was already with him, silently surrounding him on every side. With those numbers, Leonard thought, it wouldn't be strange if someone claimed Jyn Wu had come to wage war against the United States. Jyn Wu noticed the intense stare and casually remarked to Jinho that a foreigner had been watching him for quite a while. Jinho chuckled, reminding him that after so much media attention, it was natural to attract fans. Perhaps, he teased, the man simply wanted an autograph. Jinho then turned his mischief toward Wu Jinchul, asking why he was tagging along. Wu looked uncomfortable as he admitted that he had been officially assigned to protect Hunter Jyn Wu. Seizing the chance, Jinho leaned in playfully, making Wu repeat the statement, leaving him flustered. Amid their banter, a familiar figure approached, Adam White of the Hunter Bureau. Greeting Jyn Wu, Adam said they had been waiting for him. Jyn Wu raised a brow, reminding him that as head of the Bureau's Asian branch, he should still be in Asia. Adam explained that while that was true, he was now also personally assigned to matters concerning Sung Jyn Wu. Adam instructed that the rest of the Korean party would be escorted to their rooms, but only Jyn Wu would accompany him. Jyn Wu agreed, telling Jinho to go on with Chief Wu while he followed Adam. Once they were alone, Jyn Wu grew serious. He asked Adam if this was about his father. Adam, visibly nervous, assured him it was nothing harmful. He stressed that the U.S. Hunter Bureau regarded him very highly. As they walked, Jyn Wu pressed further, but Adam admitted some matters were classified as top secret. In the car, Jyn Wu asked where they were going. Adam replied that their destination was the Hunter Bureau headquarters. He explained that since the death of Christopher Reed, a national-level hunter and one of America's strongest, the Bureau had been under immense pressure. The public had not been told, but within the Bureau, Reed's death had left a dangerous void in the nation's defenses. Because of this, Adam revealed, the Bureau intended to pour its resources into finding someone capable of filling the gap. When Jyn Wu asked if he was considered a candidate, Adam confirmed it with a nod. To support this, Adam produced several documents and photos. Among them was the skeleton of the dragon Kamish, along with a runestone retrieved from its corpse after the raid. Adam explained that the value of a runestone corresponded directly to the power of the beast it came from. The Kamish raid had been humanity's most harrowing nightmare, an event so terrifying most wished it erased from memory. Yet from the dragon's body, the Bureau had secured this powerful artifact, and they sought someone worthy of wielding it. With the evidence laid out before him, Adam finally asked what Jyn Wu thought of their offer. Jyn Wu scanned the photos in silence before asking to go back to an earlier image. Adam clarified if he meant the photo of Kamesh's corpse. Jyn Wu then questioned whether the Bureau had preserved the dragon's remains. Adam admitted they had. Jyn Wu requested to see the facility where the body was kept, insisting that Adam take him there first. Adam was surprised and asked why. Jyn Wu responded calmly that he had given the Bureau his time without complaint, so this was not too much to ask in return. Adam confessed he did not know the facility's exact location, but added that, given Jyn Wu's standing, it wouldn't be difficult to obtain permission. He would, however, need to make a formal report first. Jyn Wu leaned back and said evenly that if they were going to wait, they would wait together. Then he told Adam directly he was coming with him. Fast forward to the Hunter Bureau headquarters, Director David Brennan turns to Adam White and asks whether Sung Jyn Wu is really inside their building at that very moment. He wonders aloud if the Korean hunter is truly interested in their offer regarding the powerful runestone. Adam answers honestly. Throughout the day, Jyn Wu had barely mentioned the runestone at all. David presses the issue. Was Jyn Wu truly focused only on viewing the corpse of the slain dragon rather than acquiring a new skill? After a moment of thought, he turns toward Michael Connor, the deputy director, and asks for his perspective. Michael explains that the worth of a skill can be beyond calculation. Many top-rank hunters spend enormous fortunes trying to acquire the right runestone. Perhaps, for Jyn Wu, witnessing the corpse firsthand might hold more value than learning a new ability. David narrows his eyes. Could it be that Jyn Wu's ability only works on monsters he has killed himself? Then a chilling thought strikes Michael. What if Jyn Wu can even raise creatures as shadows without needing to kill them personally? The two men exchange tense looks, realizing the terrifying possibility. If Jyn Wu could reanimate Kamish, the dragon itself, his power would be beyond imagination. Alarmed, David rises from his seat. He insists that no single individual should ever be allowed to wield such a level of strength. Michael warns him to tread carefully. Refusing Jyn Wu's request outright could seriously damage their relationship with him. After some thought, David reluctantly agrees. He decides to escort Jyn Wu to the restricted facility personally, hoping to witness the truth of his powers. Soon after, inside the elevator, heading deep below the bureau, David addresses Jyn Wu. He remarks that he would prefer to sit down for a proper discussion, but if this is the path Jyn Wu insists on, then they will proceed as requested. When the doors slide open, Jyn Wu immediately senses it. Residual traces of mana still linger in the air even after all these years. He wonders how powerful the shadow of this creature would become if he succeeded in bringing it back. Standing before the immense corpse, David explains the history. The dragon Kamish had been preserved exactly as it was when it fell, defeated by 5 national-level hunters. Before that, it had already slaughtered hundreds of elites. Its mana crystal now fuels the Bureau's headquarters. David looks to Jyn Wu and asks if he is satisfied. Without hesitation, Jyn Wu steps forward and instructs everyone present to stand back. David raises a hand, telling the staff not to interfere. For now, they will only observe. Jyn Wu activates his ability, Shadow Extraction. A notification appears. Shadow Extraction has failed. He tries again. This time, black mist spills into the chamber. The dragon's massive bones begin to rattle and quake. A towering figure starts to rise. A gigantic shadow emerges, its form taking shape as Degray the beast. The room itself trembles, structures collapsing under the released energy. The spectral dragon speaks. Are you the one who has summoned me, King of the Dead, Shadow Monarch? Panic erupts among the Bureau agents as they watch the impossible unfold. Kamish, once slain, appears to stand resurrected. The dragon's eyes glow with rage. Humans! I will kill them all. The creature smashes against reinforced glass, shattering it like fragile ice. David stares in horror. This was glass fortified with the strongest mana, and yet it breaks with ease. Kamish bursts free of containment, drawing in power to unleash its deadly breath. David shouts desperately, "There's no escape." This was the legendary dragon's breath, capable of annihilation. But Jyn Wu, calm and unwavering, steps forward. He speaks directly to the beast. The mana crystal within your skull is long gone. You are no longer bound to the commands of the rulers. Everyone freezes, stunned as they realize Jyn Wu is communicating in the language of monsters. Kamish halts its attack. Slowly its tone changes. So this is what it means, to become the subject of the Shadow Monarch. Lowering its head, the dragon bows. As one who once served the King of Dragons, I greet you, my new lord. Jyn Wu asks carefully if it truly served the King of Dragons. Kamish confirms it served the Monarch of Destruction, the Mad Dragon. Jyn Wu studies the shadow before him, amazed. Its ego was strong, independent, even surpassing any soldier he had summoned before. There was no doubt, this was once a being of terrifying might. Meanwhile, the Bureau staff look on in disbelief, seeing the legendary dragon wag its tail like a loyal beast before Jyn Wu. Jyn Wu recalls the entities revealed to him by the system, the King of the Dead, the Shadow Monarch, the King of Giants, the Monarch of the Beginning. It must be one of the 9 monarchs mentioned by the system. But suddenly Jyn Wu notices something strange. The dragon's body begins to crumble. Kamish explains with a fading voice. Too much time had passed since its death. Its soul could not fully endure. Panicked, Jyn Wu tries to command the system to halt the collapse, but it is useless. In its last moments, Kamish speaks. I envy your soldiers who may serve you for eternity. Beware, my lord. The humans have borrowed the strength of the rulers. With those final words, the shadow disintegrates completely, leaving only the dragon's colossal skeleton to crash to the ground. A notification appears. Shadow extraction has failed. Silence fills the chamber. Jyn Wu turns to Adam White. His voice steady, he asks him to tell director that he is truly sorry for the outcome. He promises to cover all damages caused. As Jyn Wu departs, frustration boils within him. Agents nearby flinch in shock as he punches the reinforced metal door, crushing it with a single blow. After the incident at the bureau, Wu Jinchul approached Sung Jinwoo, asking where he had been, since he hadn't been able to reach him by phone. Jinwoo calmly explained that he had been somewhere for a short while where no calls could get through. Wu then asked if he had met with Yu Jinho. Jinwoo looked puzzled, and Wu clarified that Jinho had supposedly left as soon as he received a message from Jinwoo, asking to meet him at the Hunter Bureau headquarters. But Jinwoo denied ever sending such a message, saying he had just returned from the bureau himself. Turning to Adam White, Jinwoo asked if he knew anything about the situation. Adam checked the visitor log but found nothing. Yu Jinho's name wasn't listed anywhere. Shocked, Wu explained that a hunter from the Scavenger Guild had come in person 2 hours earlier to pick Jinho up. Adam frowned, pointing out that although the Scavenger Guild had close ties with the Bureau, they had no authority to act on its behalf. He promised to call them directly. Jyn Wu's instincts immediately flared. Something felt terribly wrong. On the other end of the call, Laura from the Scavenger Guild answered. When Adam described the person who had taken Jinho, she realized at once that something was off. She asked if Sung Jyn Wu was aware of the situation. Adam admitted that Jyn Wu hadn't been told yet, but noted that he had already asked about Jinho while at the bureau. Laura promised that the guild would investigate the matter immediately. After the call, Adam assured Jyn Wu that the Scavenger Guild was looking into it and would provide answers soon. But when he turned around, Jyn Wu was already gone. Moving quickly through the city, Jyn Wu's thoughts raced. He realized he had been careless. After using Shadow Exchange to save Chairman Yu Myung-han at the hospital, he had forgotten to place a shadow on Jinho. The memory of what happened to his sister only deepened his fear. What if something similar was happening again? Stopping in his tracks, Jyn Wu spread out his mana and summoned every one of his shadows. With sharp determination, he gave a single order: find Yu Jinho. The shadows surged into the night, scattering across rooftops, streets, and alleyways, moving like silent hunters as they searched every corner of the city for Jinho's trail. Meanwhile, several men lay sprawled across the ground, unconscious and badly beaten. The one responsible stood towering over them. Thomas Andre, the strongest hunter of America. He had been interrogating them for information on Huang Dongsu's whereabouts. Realizing the situation had gotten out of control, Thomas ordered his subordinates to track Huang down, and above all, to find him before Sung Jyn Wu did. In a deserted, crumbling building, Huang Dongsu loomed over Yu Jinho, who was bloodied and gasping, his body covered in wounds. Meanwhile, in the heart of the city, Sung Jyn Wu stood on the edge of a tall building. His shadows spread out like dark tendrils, slipping through the streets to listen in on conversations and sweep for any sign of Jinho. As he searched, Jyn Wu wondered if the kidnappers had already fled the city. The thought seemed unlikely. Jinho was a combat-type D-rank hunter, not someone that ordinary people could easily overpower, even in numbers. The only lead pointed toward the Scavenger Guild. Suspicion fell on Huang Dongsu, the younger brother of Huang Dongsuk, who had once perished in a dungeon where only Jyn Wu and Jinho survived. To Huang, it was clear who he believed responsible, and he had been waiting for their arrival in America. Anger burned in Jyn Wu's eyes. If anything had happened to Jinho, he swore those behind it would pay without mercy. Back at the Scavenger Guild headquarters, staff reported to Thomas Andre that Huang Dongsu was still nowhere to be found. Thomas reflected on the recklessness of Huang's actions. As an S-rank hunter, Huang should have understood the vast gap in power between himself and Jyn Wu. Acting against him was nothing short of suicidal. The only explanation was that Huang believed Thomas would shield him from the consequences. Thomas placed a call to Laura, his trusted aide. He admitted he might have been too lenient with his guild members and asked her for an update. Laura explained that, with assistance from the Hunter Bureau, They had analyzed Huang's movement patterns over the past month. 3 locations stood out where Huang had deviated from his usual activity zones. Thomas immediately ordered every available member of the Scavenger Guild to move out to those 3 areas, declaring he would personally lead the search. Curious, he asked how Laura had managed to secure the Bureau's cooperation so quickly. Laura replied that she had warned them of the looming danger. If Huang was not found soon, a direct confrontation between Thomas Andre and Jyn Wu was inevitable. That was something the Bureau desperately wished to avoid. At the Hunter Bureau, tension ran high. Agents rushed with reports, and Adam White informed Director David Brennan of a troubling discovery. The Scavenger Guild had abruptly canceled all of its raids and grounded its members. Every single hunter was on the move. David immediately realized the implications. If the entire Scavenger Guild was mobilized, it could only mean one thing. Thomas Andre was behind it. Whatever was happening, it was far bigger than they had expected. Meanwhile, inside a deserted factory, Jinho was held captive. Bruised and bleeding, he sat surrounded by several men, with Huang Dongsu standing over him. One of Huang's subordinates hesitated, asking if they were going too far. But Huang dismissed the concern. He explained that he had no intention of killing Jinho. He only wanted one answer. Huang recalled Thomas Andre's warning not to touch Jyn Wu. Confronting Jinwoo directly was too dangerous. But Jinho was different. To Huang, there was just one thing worth hearing, that Jinwoo had killed his brother. With rage in his voice, he struck Jinho, ordering him to wake up. Blood dripped as one of the men muttered that Jinho was unusually tough. Any normal human would have died by now. Grabbing Jinho by the head, Huang slammed him into the wall. He sneered that bravery was admirable, but stubbornness would not earn forgiveness. Killing Jinho was not his goal. Instead, Huang revealed a cruel plan. One of his men was a skilled healer. Whenever Jinho's life was on the verge of ending, he would be saved and forced back into the cycle of pain. The factory had been abandoned for more than 5 years. No one would hear him, no matter how loud he screamed. Until Jinho gave the answer Huang wanted, his suffering would never end. Huang leaned closer, asking if Jinho wanted to talk now. With trembling lips, Jinho struggled to respond, but instead of begging, he defiantly raised his hand and flipped Huang off. Fury consumed Huang. He grabbed Jinho and slammed him into a concrete pillar with bone-crushing force. A voice from the back warned him to stop before he accidentally killed the captive. But Huang waved it off, saying the interrogation had only just begun. Dizzy and fading, Jinho suddenly saw a vision. The face of Huang's brother appeared in his mind, unsettling him further. At that moment, Huang noticed something. In the corner of the factory stood a figure cloaked in silence, a shadow soldier. Confused, Huang ripped off his jacket and narrowed his eyes. He wondered if a dungeon break had occurred. Where had that creature come from? Snarling that he didn't have time to waste, Huang charged straight toward the shadow. Back in Korea, Jyn Wu's mother and sister sat glued to the television. The mother, worried, wondered aloud whether Jinwoo was safe. From the doorway, the shadow soldier Baru listened. He thought to himself that if there were anything his liege could not endure, then no one would ever be safe. The family watched in silence as the news feed announced Jinwoo's arrival in the United States. Suddenly, Baru's expression tightened. A familiar, dangerous aura had flared. He recognized it. The king was furious. Cut to the streets of the USA. Several cars tore through traffic. Members of the Scavenger Guild were on the move. In one of the vehicles, Thomas Andre ordered the driver to stop. He knew the situation had already escalated. Thomas kicked his door open and strode out, telling his men to move quickly and that he would go ahead of them. As he left, one subordinate muttered that they would be buried in compensation claims the next day. At an abandoned factory, Huang Dongsu took a brutal blow to the stomach. Jinho watched and, for a moment, allowed himself to believe he was saved. The strike sent the S-rank hunter, Huang, sprawling. The real rescuer, however, was Jyn Wu. He had tracked the group down and used shadow exchange with one of his shadow soldiers, a shadow orc, to intercept the attack and protect Jinho. After throwing Huang clear of the building, Jinwoo rushed to Jinho's side and tried to administer a healing potion. A system notification interrupted him. Healing items could not be used on a target whose HP had fallen below 10%. Frustrated, Jinwoo scanned the area and turned to the two men standing nearby. He demanded to know if either of them was a healer and ordered them to treat Jinho immediately. One of the men, visibly shaking, insisted he did not understand Jinwoo's language. Huang, having recovered, stumbled back into the room. He clarifies to the man, "He's asking you to heal the guy." Huang pushed forward and tried to needle Jinwoo, suggesting this was their first face-to-face meeting. Ignoring the question, Jinwoo repeated his command for a healer. One of the henchmen protested that they should be consulted with their boss first. Before the man could finish that excuse, Jinwoo seized him by the face and slammed him against a steel pillar. He turned to the second man and asked directly whether he could perform healing magic. The man panicked, saying he had not signed up to deal with Jyn Wu. When he admitted he could not heal, Jinwoo knocked him to the floor. Seeing Jinwoo's overwhelming strength, Huang stepped forward and accused him of killing his brother. Jinho, weak and fading, tried to warn Jinwoo to be careful. Jinwoo told Jinho not to speak in his condition and faced Huang's accusation. Huang demanded to know whether Jinwoo had indeed killed his brother and the rest of his team. Jinwoo replied coldly that Huang should go ask his brother himself. Enraged, Huang lunged with a punch, but Jinwoo was quicker. Jinwoo dodged and countered, sending Huang flying out of the building. Before Huang could get to his feet, Jinwoo was already beside him, calm and immovable. Huang tried to strike again, but Jinwoo pinned him down and then began repeatedly slamming Huang's head into the ground. At that moment, Thomas Andre arrived on the scene and shouted for them to stop. He scolded Huang for disobeying his warning not to touch Jinwoo, then turned his attention to the man doing the beating. Thomas demanded to know if Huang was alive. Jinwoo replied without softness that he was not finished yet. Thomas, seeking to de-escalate, offered a bargain. If Jinwoo released Huang, Thomas would overlook what had transpired and let the matter slide. Jinwoo asked what would happen if he refused. Thomas, his temper rising, made it clear that refusal would turn the offer into an order, and an order backed by force. Without answering, Jinwoo hurled Huang into the air. As Huang flew, he pleaded silently to Thomas, urging him to intervene and kill Jinwoo. Jinwoo stepped forward and faced Thomas. Thomas warned that perhaps the other man did not yet know who he was. Jinwoo dismissed the warning. He stated that Thomas's identity did not change what had to happen. Thomas, taken aback, thought to himself that Jinwoo clearly knew who he was, and yet acted without fear. An unfamiliar but dangerous defiance. A quick flash of Thomas's past filled Thomas's thoughts. He had been born into poverty as an immigrant, survived by relying on a brutal talent for violence. That ruthlessness earned him the reputation of the strongest. Through constant battles, he had accumulated power, influence, and wealth, crushing anyone who stood against him. Convinced that violence was the truest form of justice, he had built himself into a ruler in his own right. Back in the present, more members of the Scavenger Guild poured onto the scene. As they advanced, a massive shockwave tore through the area, an explosion of force that swept past them and demolished everything in its path. When the dust settled, they realized Thomas himself had been thrown back by the impact. His men checked on him, anxious. Thomas motioned for them to keep their distance from Jinwoo. Panic rippled through Thomas's followers as they recognized the danger and began to pull back. While the standoff unfolded, Jinwoo ordered one of his shadow soldiers to take Jinho to the nearest hospital and do whatever was necessary to guarantee proper treatment. Once Jinho's safety was secured by the shadow, Jinwoo turned his full attention to Thomas Andre and the remaining members of the Scavenger Guild. With a single motion, he summoned his army of shadow soldiers, an imposing force that formed around him, ready to engage the entire guild. The episode ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Thanks again for your support, and I'll see you next time.